implications from the West Asia war. Well, oil prices have risen for the fourth consecutive session amid growing uncertainty over a possible peace deal between the United States and Iran. Brent crude futures gained 26 cents or 0.29% to reach $91.28 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose to 37 cents to $85.31 a barrel. So, Pragati, oil prices obviously are seeing a steady rise because of the uncertainty in the Strait of Hormuz and the war.
Yes, Shavani. Oil prices are continuing their upward movement, rising for the fourth consecutive trading session as uncertainty grows over a possible peace deal between U.S. and Iran. And Brent crude, futures gained 26 cents, around 0.29% to reach $91.28 a barrel. And at the same time, U.S. West Texas, intermediate crude rose by 37 cents to $85.31 a barrel. And the latest rise comes as as markets remain focused on the situation between Washington and Tehran, particularly the uncertainty surrounding negotiations and the status of the Strait of Hormuz. And the key concern for the global energy market is the supply. The Strait of Hormuz being a critical route for international oil shipments, and any prolonged disruption or uncertainty around safe passage, can quickly push price higher. So for traders, it is not just the actual volume of oil moving through the region that matters, but the risk of disruption itself can influence the price. And the market is therefore closely watching every development between U.S. and Iran, and any indication of a breakthrough in negotiation could ease concern and put down pressure on the crude oil prices. And so at this point, the oil market is essentially waiting for clarity on the U.S.-Iran situation, clarity on the Strait of Hormuz, and most importantly, clarity on the future of oil supplies from the region, Shani.
Right, Pragati. Request you to stay on with us as we track another reaction to this entire statement coming in from the U.S. Well, Iran's top security official Mohsen Riazi has mocked the U.S. President Donald Trump's claim over the Strait of Hormuz, saying that the distance between Washington's inability to reopen the strategic waterway and its claim to own it is greater than the 7,000 miles separating the U.S. capital from the strait. Riazi, who is the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, wrote on X, and I'm quoting here, "The gap between America's inability to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and its claim to own it is greater than the 7,000-mile distance between Washington and the strait itself." Well, Pragati, this is obviously a statement coming in from Iran after the U.S. President Donald Trump posted a photo claiming the Strait of Hormuz as its own territory.
Yes, Shivani. Iran has now directly responded to U.S. President Donald Trump's claim over the Strait of Hormuz, and Mohsen Riazi, the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, has mocked Trump's assertion about the strategic waterway. And in a post on X, Riazi said, "The gap between America's inability to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and its claim to control it is greater than the more than 7,000-mile distance between Washington and the strait." This is a sharp response from Tehran at a time when the status of the waterway remains disputed. The Trump administration has maintained that the Strait of Hormuz is open and operational, while Iran, however, has said that the waterway will remain closed until U.S. meets the terms of an interim agreement. And that the difference is, in position is important, because the Strait of Hormuz is major route for global oil shipment. Any uncertainty over whether ships can, safely pass through the strait can have, and it is in fact having a direct impact on shipping activity and crude prices. And we have already seen shipping, traffic slow down, with several vessels operators choosing to stay away because of the continuing security uncertainty. So while Riazi's statement is clearly political in tone, it also underlines the larger problem that there is still no clear agreement between Washington and Tehran on the status of the waterway. And until there is clarity on that front, the Strait of Hormuz will remain a major flashpoint, not just for the U.S. and Iran, but for the global energy markets and international shipping, Shivani.
Right, Pragati. Please stay on with us as we are tracking some more reports from global media agencies. Well, a new media report has revealed that Iran is weighing potential strikes on U.S. military assets in Europe if Washington escalates the conflict further. Iran forces have reportedly assessed potential attacks on American military assets in southeastern Europe, including in Bulgaria, after Sofia authorized U.S. refueling aircraft to operate from the Besmer air base. Cyprus has also been considered as a possible target given its British military facilities, one of which was already hit by a drone earlier this year. Now, sources are saying that the scale of any Iranian response would hinge on how far the U.S. pushes the conflict. Well, Pragati, these are reports that are coming in from global media giants, and they're stating that Iran may be looking at potential strikes on U.S. military assets in Europe. All right, let's in fact move on to some other stories that are coming our way. Well, Canada Border Services